Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Kaycee B.
Welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to talk to you. I listen to your music. I really love it. It's really fun. It's different, and I love your voice. You have a beautiful voice, gorgeous voice. But before we get into that, let's go back to the beginning. I always love going to the childhood. Like, I always say your childhood kind of charts sort of like your trajectory of where we're going to be going in life, the little things that we pick up as we're, kids. But tell me a little bit about your childhood and how what was that like? And then how did you kind of get into music?
I always kind of had a love for music. A lot of my family was really musical. My dad always would play instruments and stuff when I was a kid and sing. And my sister actually is a musician as well. She's more of an alternative musician. She's amazing. She does all her own stuff. But my brother plays instruments too. But she's a little bit more established, I guess, community wise. But just like a lot of music, just being around. Everybody loved music, everybody was into it, and I was the youngest, and I always just, like, I guess, looked up to everybody else doing it, and was it just thought it was super cool and always loved it. I think I realized I loved singing when I was probably like 6 or 7, but I just, you're really shy, you're little, and you're like a little nervous at that age. But I did, I loved it, and it just kind of grew from there, and then in my church, I always loved singing at church and all that, and so I had my opportunity to start singing through church. And so, being that I already felt comfortable with them and I loved singing there, it was just like a perfect opportunity to kind of branch out and, establish that I did like to sing, that I was wanting to sing at that age.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I love that you were singing in church. I think I wish I can sing. I can't sing. My mom is like the singer, and I'm like I didn't get that.
You have
I
a really pretty talking voice, though. So one would think.
well, thank you. But so tell me a little bit about like like your EP. Like I love the title. I am me. I feel like that is like super, like I like that statement. It's very like you know yourself, like you're at a place of like, okay, this is me. I like that title. So where did that come from? And tell me about the process of making this song.
Well, I am me was the actual hook of it. Um, I made a while ago. Well, part of the hook, but it had been like kind of floating around in my head, and it's not the first time this has happened. Like it was just like it was floating around in my head for a long time. We actually found a video on Facebook, me and my boyfriend, like not that long ago, of like me doing like a freestyle singing, and I was using the part of the hook in the freestyle like 5 years ago. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, you really did have it that long." And I was like, "I was older than that. I had it before that." But the rest of the song kind of pieced together, like, more recently. It was actually funny because when we went into the studio, I was freaking out because I was like, I'm not prepared. I don't
Yeah.
have a well established song. And it just kind of came to me. I had a friend visiting town, um, who'd actually helped me a lot in the past, trying to help me put music out financially and like physically, like just being there to like try and help me because he just really believed in me. And he was in town and he was just like really like, "Oh, you got to put something down. You got to but you can do this. This is going to be really cool." And he kind of came with us, and I don't know, it just kind of sparked me a little bit. Like I was like, "That's right, I got to do something cool." But and it was also cool because I have been holding on to that for like a long time, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, finally I found where I can use this idea that I've been thinking of for so long, and here it is. It fits right in here, and it was really cool."
That's
And it was
awesome.
just, confident thing. You wanted to really wanted to push a different agenda, like a really positive, and it felt like it was for everybody. A lot of people really struggle, with the idea of who they are and their identity. So it was like very pushing that whole just being you, you know?
Yeah. What made you go on that journey of like what like trying to figure that out? I think like you said, everyone's like in that stage. I think even after the pandemic was over, I think a lot of people were like, wait a minute, who am I really? I think a lot of
Yeah, you're
questions
on
and
track.
self-reflection and all of that came up out of that. Like we were forced to like really deal with that.
We
So,
really were.
you
Yeah,
know,
we really were. Um, I honestly feel like I feel like we always are figuring ourselves out, because we're ever changing, we're always growing as people when that never stops. But I do feel like you reach a point in your life where you do have to like really embrace yourself, and I think that I was kind of on like kind of in limbo for a while where
Mhm.
I felt like, it wasn't like I didn't know who I was, but I was like, what am I really doing? Like, what's going on out here? And so it's like, it was like I wanted to define myself and like embrace it more because I felt like, I mean, I've been doing this for so long. I mean, you've been loving this for like since you were a kid, So why not just, why not just take it in? Like, why not just be like, yep, this is how I feel, and just unapologetic. And I feel like a lot of people should be like that because I think sometimes in life,
Yeah.
we're in this society that's really judgmental, and there's just like a lot of, there's a lot of positivity too, but there's a lot of negativity. And I feel like a lot of times people are like scared to fully embrace themselves, or they have this like false narrative in their head that, oh, they're supposed to be like this or they're supposed to be like this. And at the end of the day, if you're doing your very best to like to be yourself and to be your best version of yourself, you're amazing, right? Like just like that.
Yeah.
And everybody is, so that was really like the feelings that I was having where I was like, why am I battling with these feelings that I don't
Mhm.
know how I feel about myself, you
Right. Do,
know?
do, do you feel like society puts that false narrative out there, like, like through either, whether it's media, music, you
They
know?
do. It's entertainment, keeping the clicks going and stuff like that. I mean, I think that sometimes, it's easier to get people to go and look at unattainable things or like
Mm. Mhm.
to look at seem things that seem like they would be good, but they're really, and it's not that there's anything wrong with some of those things, but like it like they highlight just specific things. And they don't
Right.
highlight everything. They don't highlight things that everyone can shine in, really,
Hmm. Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, no, seriously. It's and good for you for rising above all the that, and then being in the music, I can't imagine like how just the weight that you have as a like an artist. I mean, I have it in a different way, like through film. Like literally, I was just talking to a friend about just like, about this deal, about this film deal, and how, you have to talk about this, talk to this person. It's just like so many things. And I just can't imagine what it's like being an artist because you're selling, not just selling, but you're putting yourself out there, your face, you are your brand, right?
Yeah, it's actually awkward. It's so awkward. Like I'm like, oh hey guys, listen, here's my song. I hope you guys like it. Then I'm just like, well, it's just me. Like I want people to go follow my page, and I'm like, if you guys want to go look at my face more, feel free to go follow my page. But it's like and you don't want I don't want to sell out in terms of like sometimes you can, and I have not like I like a lot of songs that are like really simple and just have like a fun vibe and stuff. And some of my songs can be like that. But I really, really, really want to maintain like a deep, like real of emotions, real feelings, real things that people, you know, deal with, and you just I like to make things fun. I have a wide array of emotions just like any human being does. And I just want to be able to portray that and put that out as like for what it is and make it
Yeah.
good and I hope people like it, and but I don't want to it's hard because it's like you said, you are selling yourself. So sometimes it's like you might want to be like, well, I feel like people would really like something like this, but
Yeah.
that's not really me, but
Right.
you got to pick and choose. But I imagine you probably go through all that same stuff when you're
Yeah.
doing your stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think, and I think at the end of the day, I think you have to love what you do. And it shows that you love what you do, like the thing and just what your art and how you present it. And it's like, that's what makes us continue to do this interesting industry that we're in. Yeah, because I think it is like it is always going to be the good and bad and everything. So I look at it like that. Like I enjoy it. There are good moments, there are bad moments, there are, you know, it's just a process, I guess. But we love it. We love this
The
wild.
good moments outweigh the bad ones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're crazy ones, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just had one. I won't get into it. Not right now. But yeah,
I was curious.
it was at a panel. I had a speaking thing for filmmakers in film, and it was just I don't know, just all it was just interesting. But we did. I did it. It was fun. I got to meet a lot of filmmakers, women in film, which I really enjoy. So that's what keeps
That's
me going. I'm
actually
like,
incredible.
yeah, thank you,
That's so
thank you,
cool. That's
thank
really
you,
incredible.
thank you so much. So I'm curious. I read something you said that at one point you didn't like you didn't want to put your music out there, and you were worried about I think were you worried? My question is, were you worried about critics? Were you worried about like what you just wasn't ready? Like, because I think you're phenomenal. You're very talented.
It's really like an interesting thing. I also have a daughter, and I feel like for a minute I was kind of pouring into her a lot. There was a
Yeah.
lot going on. I was working, I was doing other things, and I started to think like, you know, I kind of put my music on the back burner. Like I was
Hmm.
just kind of like, oh, like, and I had a few songs out and they were good, and I just wasn't taking it that serious.
I see.
And then I just kind of actually, honestly, my boyfriend helped me a little bit because he was really on me about it too. Like he was like, you should do this. Like you should be taking this seriously. And I was like, you know what? That's actually like it just made me really like put into perspective long term when you are old one day and you look back at what you did with your life, how are you going to feel? Are you going to feel
Hmm.
like you put things out that you wanted to put out? Are you going to feel like you did things that you wanted to do? And I really feel like strongly that like that's why I so strongly do feel that people should just be so unapologetically like themselves because you really only live once and you have, you know, ample opportunity to do anything that you want to do if you put your mind to it. And that was my thought process was like, if I don't, I could at least be putting music out because I love it. I think about it all the time. These little ideas are always just going through my head. I sit at home and make music all the time, and I just wasn't putting music out
Hmm.
and wasn't organizing it and putting it in a plan, in an album, an EP. And so it just took like kind of a little bit of self reflection
Yeah.
to just be like, what do you really want? Because you can still work other jobs. You can do all the stuff you need to do. You can do whatever you want, really. You
Hmm.
just got to go do it. And so I just decided to do that.
I love that. I love that. Now, for me, it's interesting. I always say that I mean I commend artists. I feel like like to be in a studio all day is absolutely because I've done this like sitting in studios and like watch artists. I'm just like, how do you guys do it? Do you enjoy that process of like being in a studio and this like in that whole thing, like that? So do you do all of it? Do you produce too?
I'm in the process of getting a little bit better at my own production. I have recorded myself, but I still need a master, like
Nice.
someone to help me master it and all that,
That's cool.
Um, I do love going in studio. It is fun too when you get more than one creative person together.
Yeah.
Um, just because, it plays a role. Sometimes they might be like, oh wow, like what if you kind of sang it like this or you did it like this?
Hmm.
Um, which is nice because everyone's got a different thought process. But it's actually really funny because the studio that we've been recording in all summer long had no air conditioning.
Oh no.
It was so hot. And I'd have like 4 hour sessions and it'd be
Oh
like
my.
hour 3 and I'd be like, I'm out of breath. I can't sing it. I gotta put my head out the window. Like, and it, but
That's
he's a good guy.
dedication.
He's great. he's great. It was just super funny because you're like, how does that feel? And I'm like, it was hot. It was hot in there. But now it's not.
Love it.
See, now I live in Montana, so we already have snow outside right
Oh,
now.
wow.
It's gonna go away. Like it's not gonna be like consistent like this for the rest of the year. But we did get a bunch of snow and it is cold, but it's actually good for me if I go to the studio. I was like, oh, thank God, the next studio.
I love
No,
that. I love
it's
that.
funny.
Have you ever thought about having making music for film? Like make it sound like for putting into like because I could totally hear your music in like a film or something. I'm like, that
I
sounds
would love
great.
that. Like, I would love that. It's actually crazy because when we made that song, we were like, this. We did just sing Spider Verse, and my daughter, I was like, Elsie, could you hear this song on Spider Verse? And she was like, gosh, yes. Like, oh my gosh, she was all into it. But yeah, we were like joking about it. I was like, could what's his name? What's the Spider Verse kid? Miles Morales. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, did you see Miles Morales swinging around to this song? And she was like, yeah. She's just saying it to make me happy. She's like,
I
yeah, for
love
sure, I
that.
could definitely see it. Yeah.
I love that. I also read, oh my gosh, you've opened up for a lot of people. Like, holy crap. I was like, geez, just curious. Now, out of everyone are, legends in their own right that you opened up for. That's awesome. But any like memorable moments where you're like, okay, because like I'm sure as an artist and a creator, like you get to those moments of like sometimes it's like quiet times and you're like, okay, what's happening? And then those moments come and you're like, okay, does it remind you like, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing something right?
It actually does. The thing that I was the most worried about was having to go and perform my songs initially. Like I was like,
Right.
oh God, like if it was just putting the songs out, no big deal. Like I love going and making songs in the studio and putting them out. It was like having to go and present myself to people, and actually, although I did perform by myself on a stage at a young age, like I'm not saying that I hadn't, but it was just like it's just different,
Yeah.
and when I like did finally go on stage, it was actually crazy because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had fun. I had like a really great time. And the very last time I went on stage, I wasn't even nervous.
I love
I was like, what? I'm not even nervous. Like I just was like, hey, like swung my head
that.
around. I was having like a great time up there, which is just funny because that was my biggest worry that whole time. I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to have to go out and be presenting myself like this, and it's fun,
Yeah.
that's just the whole part of the process too, is just like being up there in your element and you are presenting your music to people. And like, it was cool because what better way to present yourself to people than in person
Yeah.
on stage in live,
Yeah.
just doing
Right.
what you do best, and people love that and they loved it. And I actually knew a lot of people because it was in my own town, it was in my own
Awesome.
city. And so, like, when I went out, I recognized a few people, and my community is very supportive. They're really, really all like great people,
I love
and
that.
I know a lot of people here because I'm from here. So, I like looked out in the audience. People were they were hyping me up. They were
I
cheering
love
for
it.
me, So it was nice. It was a good feeling because it would suck if I went out there and everybody was like, which did cross my mind. Like I was like, God forbid they don't say anything, but no, everybody was like, woohoo, which is good because I'm like, I know you guys. You guys better be nice to me.
Right. I'm curious, do you have like you ever heard those like artists that they're like you're like your Nicki Minaj or like even Beyonce, they say, oh, I go on stage and there's Sasha Fierce and then, or like when an actor can separate the two, like, okay, I'm gonna play this role. I leave me home, but this character I become. So is it almost like you become another person on stage? Like you just have this like, or do you just feel like you're
Kind of. It depends. I mean, it is like you're another person because you definitely are like you have to hold yourself to a standard on the stage.
yeah, yeah,
But it's like it's still me, but I do get what you're saying because it is like a different persona kind of. You don't want to just go up there and just sing your song. Like you want to have some energy. You want to have, make eye contact with people. You want to, you want people to feel the song. So you have to roll that thing out.
yeah. I love that. I love that. I got to come to your show. Um, I love asking this question. There's no wrong answer, but if the three levels of influence: money, power, or respect. And if you could choose one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
That is a really hard question. Probably respect. Because to be honest, at the end of the day, if you didn't have respect, nothing else would really matter, because
Mm,
your connection with people is the most important thing for
yeah,
you, long term. Once again, I think about like when you're old and things like that, and long term, you need respect is what's going to carry you, through life and everything. 'Cause, you need people. People need connections and things like that to be together. And that's all really important. So I would rather at least have everyone respect me. And then guess what? If I'm old and I'm going to fall in the street, someone's like, there's a sweet old Kaycee. Like, let me help her up out of the street. Because if not, they're going to be like, leave her there down there in the streets. It's your time.
no, that's a great point. It's a great answer. Great answer. I like that. Any advice though for those artists that or someone that wants to even try to get into music? What advice would you give them?
Nike swish. Just do it. No, but seriously though, just follow through and don't up like nervous about nothing. Basically getting nervous about nothing because if it's what you want to do, then it's meant for you.
Yeah,
Like if
100%.
that's something you want and you know that and you've been there and you've been thinking that and you felt this, then it's probably meant for you. So why hold yourself back from that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You're making your life harder if you're holding yourself back from stuff that you feel you're meant to do. Because you're gonna be
Yeah.
suffering, because you're gonna wish you were doing it. You're gonna be at your other job thinking about how you wish you could have were working on a song like you should have been or doing stuff that you like to do. Life is about you have to survive, but life is like for you to live.
Yeah.
We're here to enjoy our lives and love things that we do. And it's just sometimes I feel like people get caught up because they're like, I'm supposed to be doing this, like I'm supposed to be doing that. This is my responsibility.
Yeah.
I'll go live in the woods. But I'm not like a good survivalist, so I would need like a community out there. That's why I need respect. Because if
Right.
I want to go live out in the woods, if the end of the world comes and I have to go live out in the woods, I'm gonna die by myself. I need a good 25 people.
That's interesting. I love
Just
it.
just saying.
It's a good point.
I watch a lot of survival movies. Good 25 people, maybe more.
No, I love that. I love that. I mean, you have to, I love that your perspective because I mean, it's so true. Um, really fun question for you. If you could be managed by anybody, it could be artists, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That is such a hard
I
question
know it's
because I
so
have
hard. It's so hard.
I have a lot of respect for like a lot of different people. That's like so difficult for me to decide. How could you put me on the spot like this?
Dun, dun, dun.
Um, this is such a crazy question. I mean, off top, I would say someone like Michael Jackson, just because like
Ooh, I like that.
he's such a like. I mean, he's a cool dude. There's a lot of like things that you kind of wonder about him, just because he's very iconic. He's a super talented guy, and I just feel like he had a really good like perspective on like music and life. And I just would wonder like what direction he would push an artist if he was gonna like try and direct them, like what he would want them to do in terms of like how they made their music
Yeah.
and what he wanted them to dress like, what he wanted them to dance like. Like I just feel like he has like a lot of skills and was in the music industry for a really long time and just like saw a lot of transition through time, the way that
Yeah.
things changed, and that he was so adaptable, and universal sounding that people can hear his song right now and everybody's like, woohoo, I love this. Which
Right.
I think is like great, and he always, seemed like a really nice guy. So
That's a
it just,
great, it's a great answer.
yeah, I'd
Like,
be like, just rise him up from the dead like that Thriller big video so he could come manage me.
I know. And, and it's
People
crazy.
though.
it will never be another Michael Jackson, but I gotta say, like the kind of stardom that he had was absolutely one of those like God level. Was like, how did he reach? It's like that
I
pen, like he reached
know.
that top, like holy crap. So I think
He
it
just
comes
kept
with
doing
a lot.
crazy stuff. Like when people just do crazy stuff and it just gets them like a bunch of hype. Michael Jackson, he just started that. He just started doing super crazy stuff. Like put the blanket on the baby's head and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
He did do some things. Yeah, yeah.
Did a lot of questionable things, but in terms of music, he knew what was going on like with that. He was probably kind of a weirdo, but like it's okay.
I think you got to
It's
be
okay.
kind of weird to do art, the music, like it to be in music. Don't you think?
Yeah, you do. That's probably why he was so good at it. He was so weird. Like the level of weird you're at, like the better you are or something. Like he was like max capacity. So
Yeah, it's one of those things I always think like how does anyone, you know, can maintain a level head, I guess, somewhat and be that famous because I think stardom can kind of, I don't know, sway your way how you like, I don't know, see everything. I don't know.
it definitely can. I can definitely see that. Plus, he also made it really hard for people not to be able to recognize him.
True.
So it's not like
True.
he was able to just like put his hood on and like willy nilly walk through town. Like he messed that up for himself.
I mean, do you think that like, as an artist, like say, make a big hit, you can't be unfamous anymore. You could be infamous, but
Yeah, you can
like,
be infamous.
but like that level of, I mean, do you ever thought about that? Like of like, oh, my life is gonna be different. Like I can't just go to the grocery store or like take a walk in my neighborhood anymore.
I mean, it has crossed my mind, like in local terms, where I've had like a lot of people like recognize me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I remember, I know you. You did
Yeah,
these songs, like you did all this." And so far, it's actually been really cool, because everybody's just really nice. But I've thought about, just where you gotta kind of like I was like that would kind of suck, but I'm like it's all right, I guess if I don't know. I don't like going to the grocery store anyways, on the bright side. Like, I'm like, I guess I would use DoorDash. But I don't know. I guess the most thought I've put into it was like, wow, that's like really interesting that I've had like a lot of people just like come up and just like know who I am.
that's awesome.
But thankfully, I haven't had any bad experiences.
That's good.
So, like, I mean, hopefully, like, I guess that's the only thing I've ever thought about is it would be scary to have like a bad experience due to that, you know? But I think that most likely, you have good experiences as long as you give off good energy and you're
Yeah.
doing all the right things. And I'm not like that famous. So
Oh,
I'm
you
very
got it. You're
professional.
famous. You're famous. You got it. Like I love it. I love it. I just I'm and do you have any like anything coming up, any shows that you like to talk about before we close or anything like that?
So I don't currently have any like shows coming up right now that I've like scheduled, but I am in the process of I have a song coming with one of Young Money's artists.
Nice.
Um, we're working on something super cool guy, Alan Cubis.
Awesome.
Um, and then I have I'm going to Atlanta to be recording with a guy by the name of JC. He's pretty good at what he does, so that's going to be really cool going to work with him. And then I have another single that I've been working on that I'm really excited about called Alone. So
Ooh,
even though I like to bring positive vibes and razzle dazzle, I am a human being, so I have different emotions that go different ways, and I really try to like express anything and everything that I feel. So Alone is definitely a little bit less happy, but it's a really cool song and it's relatable. So I like that about it, and that's going to be coming out soon as well. So I'm excited about that too.
awesome. Alone. Well, I'm excited for you. Was it just really quick? Was it like when you were being vulnerable and putting out your the real emotions and stuff? Like, do you feel like it's therapy in a way for yourself?
Yes, for a long time, mind you, this is what's led up to me feeling like, oh, I really need to push the music and stuff. When I would be at home by myself, I would literally just spend like hours, like just like making songs and putting things together. And just like, because that's literally like, it's like, people do things for their mental health. They go and they work out and they do this. And I do that too. But like, top top of the line, sometimes when I was having a bad day, it was really helpful for me to just sit down and write down poetry that related to my feelings in the moment,
Yeah.
how I was feeling right then and there. Or I did diary entries when I was a lot younger, when I was a
Mm.
kid, but I switched to more poetry as I got older. But like writing out poetry, and then just like I'll get my piano out, I'll mess with different melodies and tunes and things like that on there, or I'll go and I'll just like look up, different loops and things like that. Just sit there and mess with it, because you know, it is therapeutic,
Yeah.
which is why people should be doing things that they love to do, because usually what you love to do is your therapy.
Oh, yes. Oh, oh, that's so true. Yes. 1000% is. I agree with that. But even if it is therapy, I do believe that sometimes it's good. Well, at least for me, I kind of got into a space where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make any movies for this, like for this amount of time, because I need to like it's like a balance for me. I have to like, okay, I'm gonna put the movies aside. I'm just gonna focus on myself and
Yeah.
family and relationships and that kind of thing. Because I think sometimes, I mean, I was telling my friend, I was like, you can pour so much in your creative world in this cup, but then this cup over here is empty. Like the soul of you, it's like that. I think it's a healthy balance for sure.
Amen to that. I agree. I think if it's on your terms, if it's on
Yes.
your terms, then
Yeah.
it can be therapeutic. But I do agree, if you're pressuring yourself, or you have like it's actual work and you're
Yeah.
pressured and you have a deadline and things like that, or actual work to be done in it, the therapy part kind of goes away a little bit for a second.
A little bit. A little bit. Any quotes or anything that, you know how you get like this business can be up and down, like when it's when the going gets rough, I guess. What Anything that reminds you, it could be a quote or something that you keep in the back of your head to keep you going and to get you out of that, from going to that like dark place in your life.
You
Just curious.
know, if I were to give a quote, I don't necessarily have a quote. My fourth and fifth grade teacher, when I was a kid, made us write believe at the top of our paper every single day. Like for every assignment, we would lose points if we didn't write it. So for 2 years straight, I had to write believe at the top of my paper. Never forgot how to spell
Love that.
it. But she made us do that every single day for 2 years. So I actually like still think about that all the time. So it's really crazy. Like when I'm down, sometimes like it's the same thoughts that I shared with you earlier, or the idea that I always am reminding myself that like you're doing this because this is what you want. And you
Yeah.
wanted to do stuff like this, and you need to live your truth. Um, but I sometimes that will pop in my head. Like I'll think about how she had us write that on our paper every single day. And I'm just like, you really do have to believe it. And it's like crazy, because a lot of times if you really believe something and you just like leave your mental doors open, like you really can like it'll actually happen. Like if you just commit, like you have to fully believe that you can do it too, though. Like I think sometimes, the blockade in your head is actually yourself.
Yeah.
Like what's blocking you from things is actually yourself. And so I feel like reminding myself that like that I can't, you can't be negative, because if you're negative, you're actually holding yourself back, because you're not allowing the universe to work in the way that it's supposed to work if you're not accepting not reciprocate. If you're not accepting it, though, if you're not taking it, in and believing in yourself, then things aren't, that you can't, sometimes you could be down on yourself, but you can't let it stay that way, because it's going to actually, you're holding yourself back, basically.
Absolutely. I love that. No, that's great. It's great. Thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your life and your knowledge with us.
Thank you for letting me come on. I had
Oh,
fun.
yeah, definitely. Definitely have to come back. Oh, and where can people find you on social media to follow you on all that?
So my Instagram is at I am Kaycee B with KayceeBee. And then my Facebook is just Kaycee B, KayceeB. And my TikTok is I am Kaycee B also. Everything's I am Kaycee B. What am I talking about? YouTube, Kaycee B.
Love it.
KayceeBee. Oh, that's one B, sorry. The BEE is on my Instagram.
Love it.
You
I
didn't
love
have
it.
to put the B.
Are you on Twitter?
Am yeah, I am on Twitter. I'm like, I'm
You're
not
like,
afraid
wait a
of-
minute.
I need to get better at Twitter.
I
I'm
don't
on
get
Threads.
you don't threat. What is that? Is that the same thing?
It's like I think that Instagram is stealing Twitter because it's kind of like Twitter, and I don't know why it's like I get more reaction. I tried Twitter. I made a Twitter years ago. And
Same.
I even made posts. One time I made a post and I was like, no one's gonna respond to this. And they didn't. They didn't respond.
I don't get Twitter either. I'm like, I don't understand
Good on it. I see people with all these followers and I'm like, what did they do? How do they get this? I'm like, no one even talks to me. I'm like, I just want 3 people to talk to on here. Like that's it.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's like I just go on there and talk to myself.
Right.
I'm like, wow, it's so funny. I have this really positive quote for everyone. And I went back and it's like 6 months later and I'm still the only person that saw it.
Oh God, that's hilarious. Well, everyone go and follow. You're amazing. I'm super happy and like congratulations on all that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that awesome. Thank you again for your time. And yeah, definitely come back in the future.
I totally will. I had so much fun talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
You too, you too. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.